Absolutely. Thank you for having me today, Lance. Appreciate it.
Be safe and good luck with your new adventures out there. And I look forward to seeing some more of those interesting images and videos of all these firefighting planes and stuff you got out there on your site.
Yeah, there's some
Thank you very
amazing
much.
pilots and people. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
I'd like to welcome my guest today, Keith Gongitano, who is the founder and CEO of the manufacturing of a product called Airwall. And I'm going to bring Keith in here in a second, but you'll see in the background one of the air walls, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So, Keith, how about a quick hello?
Hey there. How you doing, Lance? I'm glad to be here.
And we're glad to have you. So I'm going to get right into this. And I got a few questions right off the bat, because when I see your email come to me, it says Zeppelin guys. And I'm kind of curious as to, we've always called you or associated you with the Airwall product, but the name of the company is Zeppelin. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's Zeppelin. It's when we first founded the company, you got to find a name. And since it's inflatable, Zeppelin just kind of seemed like a cool name, and we went with it, and we designed a logo for it. But then the product needed a name, mainly because if it's going to have a line item on Xactimate and other things, it needs a name. And so it became Airwall, and then over time it became Airwalls by Zeppelin, which is containment from A to Z. So it's just kind of one of these things. But if you look us up, you'll find us both on Airwalls and Zeppelin.
Okay. Well, so where did this concept come from? Because in the remediation and healthcare and restoration type of industries, this is something completely new.
It is new. It evolved is what it did. It started with me helping a friend with his restoration company back in the summer of 2017, and I was in a crawl space. It was a miserable experience. I spent 3 hours trying to build a chamber so that we could get the subfloor dry, and among other things, I got bit by a spider and bruised and battered, and managed to only build marginal containment, a chamber. It was terrible. And so I invented the crawl space tool. It was just kind of one of those fully formed ideas in my head. I just knew how it had to work. Convinced a friend who's now a part of the company and pretty much has been since the beginning, because without him, a lot of this stuff wouldn't exist, just because he's the one that knew how to build it. His name is Cole, and I convinced him to build our first prototype for crawl spaces. And one thing led to another. We started thinking, what about a doorway? I wonder if we could use this very tool in the doorway. And so I repurposed it, and it was very ugly. And we thought, well, the concept works. It's just not going to work, in the sense that it's really gross and ugly looking. So we designed something for that. And then we moved on to windows. And then we realized at some point that, because we met a fine gentleman by the name of Mark Cornelius, he's among other things, he's a member of the board on the IICRC. He's a trainer for years. He's been in the industry for almost 40 years. And he loved our product and just asked me a very simple question. That he was looking at the doorway unit, our X, and he said, so how do you get out? And I looked at him with a very kind of lost look, and he goes, how do you get out? Where's your doffing chamber? When you're doing a mold job, you got to have a doffing chamber. And it just never occurred to me. And so that's, kind of what started my wheels spinning. And we went round and round and round. And the other question was always about power failure as well. What do you do about a power failure? Because the crawl space unit and the Airwall X, which is built for doorways, and the window units as well, they're all constant air kind of appliances. They require air from your air movers or your HEPA filters and things like that. And if the power goes out, well, then they deflate and they stop functioning. And so we went around for a long time before we settled on what we ended up with. And you'll actually see that behind me. You can actually see that's the full system. That's 2 Airwall Nexus on either side of me, and behind me is the front of the.
Let me interrupt you real quick,
yeah.
Because we'll talk about all the different types of configurations and products and stuff that you've come up with, because yeah. I know your mind just works continuously on this stuff. But I mean, the simple question is, how do these work? I mean,
air.
Air. Okay.
Yeah, they inflate. And you're right. I tend to get, I love my stuff and I think about it all the time, so I go fast. The two that I talked about first, they require constant air. You connect them to your air movers, your negative air machine, and you do what we call pre-cycle the air. You capture the air coming out of the machine directly, and then you take that air and do what you want with it, whether it's to exhaust it from the structure and create negative pressure, or to create a manifold where you're actually directing the air to a subfloor or maybe the perimeter of the building.
But these are different. This is different. That's behind you now, right?
Yeah. So this is the latest. This is very different. In fact, what you'll notice again to either side of me is the Nexus, and the Nexus consists of 5 separate inflatable air bladders. And if you look at the bottom, you'll see those little round. Those are valves. And so you inflate each of these chambers separately. The idea being that if there is a power failure, first of all, these are inflated and they don't require any more air. But if there was any kind of damage done to one of those bladders, although we did a lot to design them so that they're very durable, but if something did happen, that even the loss of an entire or even 2 chambers would still maintain your containment. So that's the design we came up with, and yeah, they're very different, but they both work on air and they both work on pressure. The whole reason that they function as negative air containment and as a chamber is because they're pushing against the surfaces of the building, up and down and then sideways, so that they seal up.
Okay, so now I did cut you short before. I just want to get back to, you were starting to talk about the different types of products.
Yeah.
I just wanted our viewers to understand at least how these things work.
Yeah.
What else have you designed? I mean, this is for, it looks like you got a chamber behind you and a whole wall, but I know there's problems with, different heights, different types of ceilings and floors. How does that all work, or do you have special products for that?
So we wanted simplicity was the key. We didn't want a bazillion parts and things that could get lost, broken, misplaced, or just adding complexity. What you see behind me essentially is 4 things. It's a Nexus on one side, a Nexus on the other, the dust curtain that joins them, and the doffing chamber that zips to the dust curtain, in a nutshell. So it's really, really simple. If this room that we're looking at were 8 feet tall, or 9 feet tall, this is an 8-foot configuration, that were 9 or 10 feet, you would simply add a 12-inch extension to the very top of that wall. And because the air bladders inside are actually 10 feet long, then you're not doing anything else. Those air bladders simply roll out the next 12 inches and then stop. They stop because there's a piece on the top that makes them stop. And then if you had to go to 10, you would do the same thing, add another 12 inches, and then those bladders go up the next. So so it's very simple. That conversion can be done in just a couple of minutes. Very simple.
Interesting. So how about like width, or if you're dealing with different heights, like it's a slanted ceiling or something like that?
Sure. So for width, not a problem. These walls that you see to my sides are 5 feet nominally. And again, 8, 9, or 10 feet. They can be adjusted. Well, let's talk about width first. So you can put as many together as you want. You can zip these things together. They join to each other. It's all modular. Everything goes together and connects. So you can put 4 or 5 of these together, or 2. If you happen to be in a space that, again, these would be 10 feet joined. If you were in an 8-foot space, you could do a couple different things. You could just simply change the shape of the wall into a curve. Think Hoover Dam. You could do something like that. You could also run them straight across the room, and then when you get to the wall, you simply underinflate whichever bladder would be at the bend, right? And then bend the wall. That's it. And now what's touching the building may be 1 or 2 bladders as opposed to just the edge, but that's the way you shorten it. So you've got a bunch of different options on how you can do that. As far as an uneven ceiling, I'm gonna point here. Let's see, how do I do that? These right here, these little black dots, those allow you to actually put straps that also attach to the very top of the wall, and you can actually change the pitch of the wall if you need to. You can actually slope it to a certain extent, and you can also adjust it. Not just to 8, 9, or 10 feet, but if you were, let's say, in a drop ceiling, a T-bar. They're not standard, right? They land sometimes at 8 feet 3 inches or just under 9 feet, whatever ceiling height. They're never really standard because they're not set by 2x4s. They're set by a contractor who puts wire, hangs them, and that's where they land. So you can actually adjust these things really, really kind of a micro adjustment, anywhere between 7 at the bottom all the way up to just over 10 feet. So yeah.
Will fit just about anywhere, it sounds like.
It will. The only thing I don't think we're ever going to really do, and that kind of brings up another one of our thought processes here. We're probably never going to do like the vaulted ceiling scenario. So in a vaulted ceiling, you're probably going to have to either commit to plastic fully, which, you know, it is our goal here to try to get as much plastic out of this industry and construction as we can, or you're going to do a hybrid. And to be clear, we really did always design this product to be, when it's necessary, hybridized, merged with the plastic that everybody's using now, because there are going to be certain environments where a vaulted ceiling or some weird cutout is going to prevent these walls from, you know, creating the appropriate seal. So you may use 90% air wall, and then that last little bit you may connect, you know, to plastic. And because these walls work well with tape, they don't come off, which is great, because you can't say that about tape and walls, right? When walls have, you know, water literally dripping down them, or years of cooking grease or whatever, they don't stick, right? That's why a lot of failure happens with traditional containment. But these walls are designed to work with tape and not leave residue. So you can tape plastic to it for as long as the job takes, and then peel it off, and you won't have to worry about it leaving stuff behind. And certainly, whenever possible, you want our walls to be, or the air walls to be, touching the surfaces of the building, because that's going to create the superior seal without the problems of you know, damage like peeling paint or whatever else that comes with using tape.
Well, I know that with some of the normie training that we do, we've actually incorporated some of the air wall technology into some of the types of hands-on training that we do, especially like when we go to the experience trade shows, where people are able to touch and work through all the new different technologies and products. And they fit into structures that we basically build on site. So we're able to adjust them, you know, in real time to fit into these structures. And it works out very well for us, because we're able to put those up with plastic, show the differences, and, you know, how you can make changes and everything else. So it does work. And it's adjustable, like you were talking about, to whatever structure we build at the time.
Right. And it brings me joy to hear that, Lance, because, you know, I had this awakening. It was kind of late in coming. I've been doing this for 5 years, but I had this awakening about 5 days ago, where I realized, when I made my first shipment to Australia, that these things exist without me, you know, in different time zones and on different continents, and people are interacting with them, and what I spent years thinking about and designing has to work, and I can't be there to help them. I can't,
So,
you know.
so you sent your children off to school for the first time, basically.
That's what it sounds like, right? Absolutely. Yeah. That's what it felt like.
Put them on the bus to Australia.
Exactly.
So let's go a little bit further into this. As far as like vertical markets and stuff, I mean, I could see it in the remediation industry, restoration, asbestos. How about like medical, or all of the above?
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually one of the most exciting things about what's behind me here, is that when this came, all of a sudden, exactly what you're talking about just changed totally. So medical, if you have someone who has who's a burn victim, or is receiving cancer treatments, or is in some other way significantly immunocompromised, positive pressure environments are how you deal with that. And a hospital environment can create that, but that's very expensive. This can do that very, very easily, very simply, and doesn't require any permanent modifications to a building. On the flip side, we're all very familiar with negative air pressure because of the pandemic that we're all emerging from now, and the need for negative airspace, which is the exact opposite of what I just described. Instead of pumping clean, fresh air into an environment with people who have no immune system, you're instead drawing air in so that the bad boogies can't get out. So that's medical. But even more so, there's really, really strict enforcement when you're in a hospital environment because of, generally who's in a hospital. People are sick when they're in a hospital. So if any kind of building modifications have to take place in a hospital, they have to do things to prevent dust and everything else from getting to people who might be unwell. And so it's not even just the direct medical application, but medical facilities, and because maintenance has to happen and modifications must occur, this can actually be a very a significant improvement to what they're doing now, which is putting up plastic. It takes sometimes hours or even a day to set up the containment to move a machine from one room to another, simply because of the restrictions on a hospital and what can and can't be done without containment. So that's a big deal. And then just I've been told mining. In fact, the folks in Australia, because mining is a big part of Australia's economy, mining is one. High tech, both chip manufacturing and also in like server farms, things like that, where it's very sensitive equipment is very, can't be exposed to dust. So that's another big opportunity. All the construction trades could benefit from it, basically. And then there's also, of course, the potential need for first responders and militaries, around the world. What if there's some kind of an outbreak, some kind of maybe a terrorist attack, a biological terrorist attack, and first responders and military have to show up and contain it best they can. This stuff, I mean, this what you see behind me fits into basically 3 duffel bags. So that's the kind of thing that a military could really benefit from. So yeah.
Well, while you were talking, I jotted down 3 quick questions, and you were just starting to touch on one. So let me ask it to you. But instead of 3 questions, I'll just do it as 1 question now. What I wrote down here was portable, durable, and cleanable.
Yeah.
Especially you started talking about mining, and then bacteria outbreaks and viruses and stuff like that. So as far as it being portable, I mean, they're pretty big. I mean, easy to move, and cleanable. And how durable are they? All 3. You got 3 questions there.
Okay, so let's start with portable. We already started on that. Basically, it's a gym bag. One of these walls fits in a gym bag. Of course, each one comes with said gym bag, and it's very, very easy to lift. I mean, the Nexus, fully loaded Nexus, is 25 pounds. That's it, right? So it's well below the lifting weight of any of the trades. I mean, most equipment is that or a lot more. So very, very portable, small, compact, lightweight, easy to use. It looks huge right now, but it fits into an itty bitty space, right? So that's really good. As far as cleanable goes, we were very intentional on that. And in fact, along the way, we had it pointed out. In fact, a well-known person in the restoration industry, Rachel Adams, had pointed out in 21 that she thought it needed to be a little more cleanable. And so I said, okay, let's do that. So we just simply reversed the fabric that we're using, so that what you see on the outside is actually a urethane. So it's much, much smoother and much easier to clean. The stuff before was also very cleanable, but it had texture. And so there was a concern that maybe some of the fibers and things like that might stick. But so we designed it to be smooth, easy to clean. They're all machine washable. They're all designed to be totally machine washable. If you really, let's say, are in a Cat 3 environment and you really want to make sure that it's clean, you can do that. All the biocides, no problem. Antimicrobials, no issues there whatsoever. You can spray away and it'll be just fine. So cleanable. And then durable. And I say durable for the end because durable, all this stuff is important, super important, but durable, because we're claiming to be better than plastic, we better deliver, right? Because this stuff isn't cheap, right? It takes 3 to 5 uses to pay off the investment in an air wall, which is really fast because they last for years. But if I'm going to say I'm better and I cost more, then I better be better. And so durability was huge. We made sure that the outer shell, in the case of this one here, anything that's getting constant air, you could stab it with a knife and it wouldn't matter. I mean, we designed them with big open holes, so they're pumping out air all the time and they still work. Not so with this, right? If this gets a leak, you know, there could be an issue. So the outer shell is very, very durable. It's resistant to snags and punctures and things like that, and cuts and all the rest. And then the inner bladders, we actually spent a lot of time finding the ideal material for those bladders. They had to be lightweight. They had to be inherently fire resistant because these are going into a built environment. They cannot burn. They had to be as puncture and tear and cut resistant as possible while maintaining lightweight and portability, right? I mean, you know, there's all those things are in direct conflict with each other, right? Lightweight usually means flimsy. So we were actually very blessed, I believe, in the discovery of this particular material that we've used, and it makes this product extremely resilient. And again, because we recognize that nothing is perfect. I mean, if you open fire on this thing, it would go down. You know, I mean, no question about it. There are things it cannot handle, but it's meant to be durable. If something does happen to it, as I mentioned before, if you lose a bladder, first of all, we've had it happen. You know, we've you know, in the early days, we had some bladders with some defects, with small leaks, and even when they have a small leak, they don't fully fail, and you can actually air them up and continue the job if you need to. We also designed them to be repairable in the field. I'm going to do this finger thing again. You see that line right there? That's an access zipper, and if you open up that zipper and remove the valve just below it, you can actually remove that air bladder, either repair it in the field, because we do provide patches just for that, or you can replace it with a new bladder. Depending on how many times you've done it, it might take you 2 minutes, it might take you 5. The point is, it can be done. It can restore your containment to full rigidity. And I say I make that point because restore containment, it never lost it. Even though it's lost an air bladder, it still maintains containment. Which was key, because again, if I'm going to claim to be better than plastic, you know, one of the biggest problems with plastic is that it falls down, right? You get up in the morning and, you know, or worse, your owners get up in the morning, the people living in that house, and they see this plastic crumpled on the floor, a big hole, and they're thinking to themselves, okay, all that bad stuff they told me that they're keeping behind that plastic, where is that now, right? So if my stuff doesn't do a lot better than that and not fail, then I failed. So this was a big part of our design.
I remember the first time that we used one of your air walls in our training, and again, I believe it was at one of the experience shows. You were there and gave us a training on replacing one of the bladders. Mm-hmm. And during the demonstration we were doing with the class for the hands-on, we actually opened the valve up and let it deflate, and it still held containment within the area.
You didn't tell me that.
Well, you know, it was my job is to break things. So, you know, that's what we do. We try to find out things that are going to happen. Someone's going to accidentally open a valve or something. It stayed in place. You know, it did its job. So, you know, when you mentioned before about replacing plastic, you know, or poly, you know, I see the value in that. I'm just curious. I'm not holding you to it. Have you done any kind of cost analysis as to how much poly you can actually replace by one of these over the longevity of the type of system? Because I know poly is expensive.
It is expensive. You know, the closest we've gotten to that is by calculating how much tape, how much plastic, the labor that's involved with not only the initial setup, but also the tear down, the waste removal, and then the repairs that inevitably happen with most plastic containments. And we figured that it was a 3 to 5 usage to offset the initial investment in the air wall. That's as close as we've gotten. The numbers you're asking for are, I want them so bad myself, and I don't want to pull it out of thin air. I want it to be a real number, and okay. It's a difficult number to quantify. I've struggled with that because that's a number I would love to take a picture, you know, like it just give you a visual of a mountain of plastic, you know, and say, this is how much plastic you would use in a year instead of, you know, this, right? That type of thing. So short answer is I don't know what that looks like. I do know that I've seen a lot of containments go up. I actually am AMRT certified. So I've been to a lot of AMRT classes. So I've seen a lot of containments just set up just for pure instructional purposes. And when we take all that plastic and we throw it in the dumpster outside the building, it takes up a quarter of the dumpster or more.
Yeah.
So I've seen it, and that's just one class, you know. So the amount of plastic and tape and everything else, I wish I had a solid number for you. And someday that the plastic industry that we hope to disrupt may come up with just that number for us, because we're going to upset them at some point. And I'm okay with that.
Well, I'll make it easier then. Longevity on the product. How long do you predict or have data on showing these things lasting in use?
Okay, so that's a question that I can only answer by extrapolating. And I do that because I'm looking at the materials we've used, not because of the product having existed long enough to go through a life cycle. We just haven't been around long enough for that to have happened. But that said, I'm going to bring up Cole again, our builder, our in-house engineer. He is, you know, this is his space. So when he sees a problem, he solves it with fabric. My history is more carpentry, so I solve my problems with wood and nails. And it's funny that, you know, we have this different perspective on things. But the point is that at one point he took some of our material and covered an outdoor sprinkler valve control or something like that in the back on the side of his house, and that was about 5 years ago. It's outside, it's been exposed, it started life black, it's now a funky kind of a rust color because it's just been bleached by the sun. However, color gone, 5 years of direct exposure, the fabric is completely sound. So that's what this outer shell is made of. So that's the first thing. The other thing is the air bladders themselves. The manufacturer that we buy the raw materials from won't even take something off the shelf for sale unless it's been there for more than 10 years. Because at that point, it's begun to do, they have a name for it. It gets a little bit chalky on the surface. And they have a name for it. And I can't recall how they refer to it, but it's got a 10-year shelf life before the manufacturer decides that it's probably not a fresh enough product to sell. Again, I can't get more specific because we haven't been around long enough to say, but the materials that we use the highest quality zippers, the highest quality, everything we can find. We spend the most we can because I know that the users are going to be hard on it. The environments that they exist in are brutal. And my goal is to not build in obsolescence. One of my proudest moments would be if someday I've actually filled the industry and I have nothing left to sell because all my stuff doesn't break anymore. You know, and I just don't, and I'm going to put myself out of business. That would make me happy, you know.
It's kind of like the battery industry. You know, they're made to break or run out of energy at a certain point, so you buy more. You're doing the opposite of that.
I'm doing the opposite. Yeah.
But
yep.
You know what? I recently had a water loss in my house, so I personally was involved with some of the stuff here. But I understand there's something really interesting about yours. I've never been able to experience this, but I had 2 air scrubbers running at my house for, I think it was 16 days that they were working. Those things are loud.
Yes.
From what I understand, and I remember talking to you about this, these things have a sound blocking quality to them.
That's one of the coolest things. And I really wish I could say that was my plan because it works so well.
Well, I wish I would have had them for my 16 days, but.
Oh, you totally do. You totally do. Yeah, I for as well as it works, and I can't claim it at all, it's annoying. But the fact that it does is phenomenal. It's crazy. We discovered it. It's actually funny, a little story there. We discovered it in 2021 when we met you and Doug and all your team at the experience in Vegas in September. We met you guys at that show, and that's where we realized what these things could do. And I'll tell you how we did it. So far as we know, and no one's ever contradicted us, we were the first ones to ever run negative air pressure on a convention floor, right? We actually built a chamber out of our stuff and ran negative air on the convention, which was very cool. People were very like, nah, you know, so it was one of those moments, right? And we did that by just, I won't describe the structure because it's too much. But anyway, we built this chamber. People could walk into it and experience being inside of our decon chamber. And it was constructed of these Nexus walls. And when you went inside, I don't know if you've ever had your hearing tested, but when you go into that room and they close the door, you go, whoa, it's quiet in here, right? And a convention floor is never quiet. So to walk into this chamber and suddenly you have this intimate conversation space. In fact, I remember walking in with Michelle Blevins from CNR, and we walked inside, and she was asking me questions as the reporter, interviewer person that she is. We had this little conversation in there, and it was fantastic because we didn't have to yell. We could hear each other perfectly. It was great, but I really realized it when clients or potential customers would walk in, and they would be in that space. And I'm gonna be honest here. I would try to eavesdrop. I'd like to, see what they might be saying, see if they're good, bad. I couldn't hear anything. I couldn't hear a word. I couldn't even hear mumbling. It was nothing. So it started us on a path of exploring what could we do with that. And it turns out that a single barrier is good for 15 decibels. And if you know anything about sound and decibel ratings, it's not a linear measurement. 15 decibels is phenomenal. We actually did two barriers. In fact, the video is on our website, which is www.zeppelinguys.com. But that video, we did 2 barriers, and it was 25 decibels. And just for a point of reference, it was 50 to 75. 50 decibels is considered quiet. 75 is considered very loud. If you look at any scale, and you can look them up on the internet. So it's absolutely shocking how much it does. And I think it's going to change the way restoration is done, because people shut down the machines when they're trying to sleep. They do. They don't understand what they're doing. They don't understand that by taking an 8-hour shift off of those machines, that they're stretching that period that they're suffering by a third or more, right? I mean, so it's bad news, but if they're not sleeping, they're not sleeping. And I think every restoration contractor out there has experienced it more than once, where they come in and the machines are either still not running or they've just been turned back on. And they know that because the DHUs aren't even operating temperature. They know they just flipped them back on, right? So we think that, that's going to be a huge benefit. And then, let's take office spaces or worship spaces. I mean, no built environment is immune from a water loss. And so you may have a church that needs to run a service and dry the building at the same time. And if you have something that can block that sound and allow the service to continue at the same time the drying is happening, then you've done something, and in an office that needs to be able to operate and still deal with the water loss. That's a huge deal.
Well, like I said, I had that, 16 days at my house. It would have definitely been an advantage there. But the company wasn't using those. They weren't familiar with it. And that's another story. So I'm looking at the image behind you, and I'm looking at valves across the bottom, zippers you talked about, hooks, things like that. How much training is involved in using these things?
Very little. You could probably attest better to that because you've actually monkeyed around with them and you didn't build them. So, this is that thing. I let my child go and someone else had to figure it out. I had one guy tell me that they're deceptively simple. And what he meant by that was, I show these videos and there's no trickery in my videos. I don't rehearse these moves. I just do what these things do. So I'm not trying to make it look easier than it is. I'm just performing a function and setting them up, but it looks super easy. And he said, it looks so easy that people are likely to not think they need any instruction, or to even open the instruction manuals, as many men are wont to do, even when it's difficult IKEA furniture, like I can do it, right? So training, I think there is some need for training, but not so much because it's hard, but because we've designed so much into it that, you can't possibly know what these things are capable of unless I take a moment to explain it to you. What are the D-rings for? Well, one guy told me that's perfect for training my electrical cords. I keep my cords up off the ground. I can run them around the perimeter and they're off the ground. That's a big deal. I don't have to tape them down. I don't have to deal with all that stuff. Not a trip hazard. Great. That's what he thought they were. I had another guy say I could hang a light from it. Oh, you sure can. All these different uses. In fact, and in reality, they weren't designed for that. They were designed so that I could shrink that wall if I needed to, or I could fine tune the height if I'm in a drop ceiling. That's what they're for. But there's all kinds of things they can be used for. But if I didn't tell you you could do that, you wouldn't know. You know, if I didn't tell you that that zipper is there, not just so you can load the bladder the first time and then forget about it, but so that it's placed where it is and configured the way it is so that you could do a field change, right? And change that bladder, a field repair, right? You know, it's zippers, it's snaps, it's hooks. There's not a lot else going on there. But if I don't teach you these things, you'll be missing a lot of features. You might be able to get the basic function out of it, but you'll lose a lot of the really cool stuff that it's capable of doing.
So with that being said, with the configuration behind you, what is that? 2 5-foot sections or 3? What is that exactly that's there?
Yeah, that's exactly. This room is about 15, just under 15 feet across. So you're seeing 2 5-foot Nexus, and then the dust curtain is also about 5 feet. And then the doffing chamber that you see behind me, it looks bigger because it's in the foreground. That actually has a square footage of just about 12 square feet. 14 square feet, because of the state that you live in has this most stringent requirements. They require 12 square feet, enough for 2 men to stand, or 2 people to stand inside and be able to don and doff properly. So that's a 14 square foot space.
So you being trained and very comfortable with this equipment, how long would it take you to set up a configuration like that to block off a 15-foot opening with a decon chamber?
What you see behind me takes about 20 minutes, roughly.
One person?
Yeah, one person. Yep, one person. You need a little ladder a little step ladder to connect the dust curtain. But yeah, no, one person can set that up. If you're brand new to it, it'll take you 30. But yeah, 25. I've done it so many times, I'm down to about 20 minutes.
And that's no damage to any of the walls, ceilings, floors. It's just held in place. And it doesn't move under positive or negative pressure, you said, right?
That's right. Yeah, no, the surfaces, in fact, what you're seeing behind us has actually changed somewhat, very small stuff. Basically what we have now is that we have all the edges are black. And it kind of clearly defines the edges, but it also, it's filled with this very soft, you know, your couch pillows, that's called polyfill or Dacron. We fill those things up with that. So it's very, very soft. So when it touches the building, it's like putting a pillow against the wall, which means that it can adapt to irregularities in the surface, which is important, but also not put anything rigid or hard on the wall or the ceiling, so that we are preventing any damage. In fact, you'll notice in this room, there's crown molding, right? You see that up in the corners. Well, the edge seals, which are on the edges of these walls, they're the black things that you can barely see there. Those are actually longer than they need to be, so you can actually pull out a little bit out of the top and protect, you know, things like crown molding and things like that. And then you asked about the negative pressure and can it hold. I just want to tell you one little story short. We did a comparison. We were invited to a flood house. Jeff Cuthbertson in Chattanooga, Tennessee, invited us to his flood house, very generously opened it up to us and said, whatever people or equipment you need, let us know. It was fantastic. We were there for about 4 days. You and Doug actually got on the call with us while we were there and were advising us on some of our containment techniques so we could show how to build containment for people with high sensitivity to mold. Because what we did was we built a 2x4 compression to 2x4 containment, right? As well as a steel stud version as well. But this 2x4 version, we put it under negative pressure just to make sure it was working. And of course it was. And then we had this fun idea. If anybody's familiar with the movie Myth or the show Mythbusters, where they just ramp things up until things just break. We like to break things too, Lance, not just you. So we all had the idea, let's break it. Let's see how much negative pressure it takes to break it. And keep in mind, what we built was the gold standard of containment. I mean, I don't know how many times a year someone builds compression timber containment. It isn't often. You know, it's going to be in schools and hospitals mainly, and everything else is going to be zip pulls if you're lucky. So this was good containment. And it failed at negative 41 Pascal. That's when it failed. And when I mean failed, I'm talking, we had 9-foot 2x4s about to fall on us. So it was coming down, and it was coming down fast. So it was a big failure. We put mine up and we said, well, you know, we got to do the same thing. And so we ran up the negative pressure, and basically maxed out our 500 CFM NAM. Couldn't do it. So we had to call up another piece of equipment from the warehouse, got another 500 CFM unit up there and turned it on. And only then did we get failure. And the failure was only that the doffing chamber that you see behind me started to get sucked into the chamber. The walls themselves weren't falling. It was just that the doffing chamber was too light and it and its internal frame were being sucked inside. The number was 57. So from 41, using the absolute gold standard of containment, to 57. So when everybody kind of tries to figure out how it's possible without tape and without the things they're used to, how is it possible to create such high quality containment? Well, it works. You know, it works the same reason your car can drive on the road. Air pressure and friction, you know, it's just a lot of it.
So if our listeners want to get in touch with you for more information, how do they do it?
Lots of ways. You can call me, 408-247-9255 or area code 408 Airwall. You can get us on the website, which is www.zeppelinguys.com. That's ZEPPELINGUYS.com. And you can email me directly, Keith@zeppelinguys.com. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I will make it easy.
Okay. Well, I thank you for taking the time to be here with us today. I mean, I think it's a cool product. We've used it. We're going to be using it at the upcoming Experience Show. Again, we actually use that as part of our a booth that we have there as part of the display system. So it's kind of interesting the things that you can do with this, thinking outside the box, you know,
Right.
So really, really good stuff. Again, thank you for being here, and I look forward to you seeing you at the next trade show.
Thanks, Lance. It's been great. I really appreciate your time.
Take care.
Thanks. You too.
My name is Sandy Lazarovich. My company is Mastering the Art of Living Indoors, where I'm your indoor air doctor. I'm here to talk to you about an organization called NORMI, the National Organization of Remediators and Mold Inspectors. They help take my business from a mere air purification technology provider to providing a holistic solution to your indoor air quality issues by defining and diagnosing indoor air quality problem, developing a range of solutions, and deploying and monitoring the effectiveness of those solutions, both short-term and long-term. Now, benefits to business owners of NORMI is expanded my business offering from just technology to holistic solutions, bolster my presence among competitors, enhance my training and knowledge, develop me a network of diverse support throughout the IAQ industry, leverage my presence far beyond the size of my actual company, increase my sales volume and quality of sales, improve the value of my client offerings, and increase my profits. So if you're a business owner in the indoor air quality arena or sanitization, you need to join NORMI now. Go to normi.org and check it out. If you're a person business with indoor air quality issues, give the doctor a call at Mastering the Art of Living. And I'm located in Cleveland, Ohio, but I'm not restricted by mere location. I can help you remotely. So remember, if you have issues with indoor air quality, call the doctor, Sandy Lazarovich at Mastering the Art of Living Indoors. If you have a business that you want to grow and expand to be limits you couldn't believe of a few years ago, go to normi.org.
All right, I'd like to take this opportunity now to introduce one of the newest members of our team. And Doug Hoffman, who, for those of you that know him, he is the executive director of NORMI, the National Organization of Remediators and Microbial Inspectors. And what I want to do is take this opportunity now to bring Mike Mosley in, who is one of the newest members of the NORMI team, and he's going to be deeply entrenched in the sales side. So a lot of you will be talking to him. So Mike, I want to say a quick hello to everybody, and we'll get this thing started.
Well, thank you, Lance and Doug. I just want to say how excited I am to be a part of the team at NORMI. I've gotten to know you all for the last couple of years while I was doing my previous role with another company, and I'm just thrilled to be a part of what NORMI does and helping a lot of people out there really live healthier lives.
Well, Mike, it's exciting to have you on the team. I mean, I've been working with you now for about a week and a half, 2 weeks. And just hearing about your extensive sales background is something I want to talk about in a moment. But Doug, if you want to jump in here real quick, give Mike the official welcome.
I do. I've been so excited to have Mike on board. He's been with us actually for about a week and a half, and he's getting up to his eyeballs in training on all the different companies and how they work together, and what he can actually be doing in terms of helping not only our membership, but also helping to get some of our products out there with Best Living Systems. So I'll just be the one to say that I'm so excited to have him. His official title is Vice President of Business Development. And although that may say a lot about what he does, I look forward to us talking a little bit tonight about where he's going to be specifically in supporting our members and also getting those great products out into the hands of people who need them. So welcome aboard, Mike.
Thank you, Doug. I'm very, very happy to be here.
So Mike, let me ask you a question. I was looking through some of the background on you, and I know you're out there on a lot of the social media pages where people are able to look you up and find out more information about you. But after reading it, I realized that we only have 24 hours in a day to cover some of the things that you've done. So we're gonna have to cut this down to a little synopsis of, your background. And from what I see, sales has been a tremendous part of what you do. I'm guessing you like doing that.
I love it. I love it. I love people. I like showing people how they can better their lives. There are a lot of products out there, some good, some bad. I like to think that I've chosen the good ones, and it's a way to help people live better lives, actually. I like what I do.
We spoke the other day, and I threw the thing out there about do the right thing because it's the right thing to do.
Yes.
And I saw your face light up with that because it's exactly what you were talking about. Same thing with the products, doing right with the products because they're the right product to use and they work. And you seem to have a passion for that.
I do.
Well, I tell you, talking about his people person skills too, I'll just say some of you probably know what his role was in the previous company that he worked with. And it was really to be in charge of direct contact with the distributors of those products, and which meant that they needed to have somebody that they felt comfortable they could talk to, that he would actually pick up the phone, that he would have the answers and the skills to be able to help them. And I think that's one aspect of what he's going to be able to do for us, Lance, that is going to be really exciting, something that we wanted for a long time. In some ways, I always use this phrase, membership mentor, but I think in a lot of ways, that's what he's going to be able to, that's the role that he's going to be able to supply, is being able to talk to these guys and help them work through all of the details and navigate through a lot of the details that we deal with every day. We got to take a lot of that information for granted, but as he said, there's a lot of stuff out there that we've got that we need to share with our members and help them be better at what they do.
Yes.
Well, one of the big things, Mike, and I don't want to embarrass you with this or anything, but you come to us with a bunch of industry knowledge, and the market, the people and the players that are in it, and that's something that's very difficult to teach somebody coming in, even if they have a big sales background. So for you to be able to pick up the phone and talk to a contractor or an end user customer calling in, you understand the industry, you understand their needs. And I really think that's a tremendous asset to the NORMI team.
I really do have a lot of experience in those areas, from retail to commercial products and programs. As a matter of fact, I I worked with and for Zig Ziglar for a couple of years. Some of the listeners out there might know a little bit about Zig, and he always taught us that you help everyone else get what they get, and you'll always get what you get. And boy, believe me, that is so true. So from retail, commercial products, the one component that's there no matter what you're selling or where you go are the people. So if you know how to work with people, you know that you're sincere and you like what you do, the rest is easy.
You
So
know,
I'm going to spin off that for a second, if I could. I wanted to talk about, because he mentioned the commercial side of it. I think that's an aspect that he's really going to be able to bring to the table for us. We have a lot of members that are very interested in commercial work, not only on our monitoring program, but also on the sale of commercial products. And I think Mike's going to really be able to help us in that side of the industry as well.
well, I think the knowledge base gives him confidence, Doug. I think that's the biggest thing, knowing the industry and you have confidence. And then when a consumer or somebody searching for information reaches out, when you talk to somebody and you can sense that confidence, it makes it much easier. The person's found let's say a home to go for that support. And that's really what we're all about.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know that Mike knows this story. I know some of our members do, but we have recently, over the last several years, been called out to do an assessment in a huge commercial environment. And they wanted us to do an assessment, and they actually had a couple of IHs, industrial hygienists, on staff. And anyway, they accepted our proposal. We flew to Kentucky, spent several days doing that assessment, and flew back. And while I was out there, I was curious. I asked the decision maker, why is it that you selected us? You have industrial hygienists on staff. They called apparently a lot of people to try to find out who should do it. And we were a little more expensive than anyone else. He said, well, I'll tell you, he said, I could tell from the first time I talked to you that you had a solution, and you said you could solve the problem. And he said, that's what I needed to hear. So I think you're exactly right, giving our members the confidence with the way we back them up and the way we support them, but giving them the training and the confidence that they need, that they can get into the marketplace and solve the problems that people are dealing with. Having somebody like Mike on the team just enhances that asset.
Absolutely. And Mike, again, it goes back to me, the importance is the confidence and the comfort zone that the end user or our members actually will get when they talk to you.
Thank you, Lance. Yeah, I'm excited about it because I do understand a lot about the commercial. I understand a lot about the residential markets, and I think I'll be a benefit to customers and Normie and the Best Living Systems alike.
Well, I'm excited because people will call you and not me. So, there you have it. No, only kidding. You'll see.
The truth comes out.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Well, Mike, welcome aboard. Doug, is there anything else you wanted to talk with Mike about?
No, I share in his excitement. This is something that we've wished we could do for a really long time, many years, and I'm just glad that we're starting 2023. It's going to be a fantastic year, and I'm just glad we're starting it out in this way.
Well, Doug, let me thank you. Lance, let me thank you for all the help you've given me so far, and hope you'll continue to give me. And especially to those of you out there listening, I'm so excited and look so forward to working with you all and helping you build your businesses, because we can do that time together. I know we can.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Doug. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Chris, and I'm from Air Quality Solutions in New Jersey. In a world where our indoor air is becoming increasingly polluted, it's crucial to take action and prioritize our health and well-being. We believe that everyone deserves to breathe fresh air, free from harmful pollutants. That's why Air Quality Solutions is a company committed to providing innovative and effective solutions to improve air quality in our homes and offices. New Jersey, being a densely populated state, faces unique air quality issues. From industrial emissions to vehicular pollution, these factors can have a significant impact on our health, leading to respiratory problems, allergies, and even long-term diseases. At Air Quality Solutions, we understand the urgency of this issue and strive to make a positive difference. Our team specializes in assessing, analyzing, and implementing solutions tailored to your specific needs. We have the knowledge and expertise to ensure that you breathe cleaner and healthier air. As a member of NORMI, the National Organization of Remediators and Microbial Inspectors, and a follower of the NORMI professional practices, we look forward to working with you to improve your indoor air quality. Our goal is to provide healthier, safer, and cleaner indoor environments.
Greetings. My name is Doug Hoffman. I'm the Executive Director of NORMI, the National Organization of Remediators and Mold Inspectors. And we were founded in 2004 as a trade association to support guys who were working in the indoor air quality and mold industry. And we've become the approved training provider for 5 states that now require licensing in the mold profession. And that would be Texas, Louisiana, Florida, District of Columbia, and New York. This particular course has been approved by the state of New York for continuing education for home inspectors. We are also an approved training provider for the Home Inspection Board in Florida. And this class is getting a lot of attention because you, in a lot of ways, are kind of on the front line of dealing with clients' concerns about mold issues, but you've not been given a lot of direction and certainly not a certification with the kind of credibility that you need to be able to provide those services to your clients. So I'm very excited about being able to share this information with you, and hopefully you'll take the step to put this in your tool belt as a few options that we're going to show you that will give you some options that you can use to help your clients get the information that they need without putting you in any kind of legal liability. Back in the late 90s or early 2000s, I tell people right after the turn of the century, I was invited to a lady's home to do a mold assessment. And I was doing very much what we're going to talk about you were doing today, taking a couple of samples, offering a solution. And what was interesting was when I went to her house and started talking with her, she had 4 children. 3 of them had been to the allergist every single month. And the 4th, that was just about 6 or 7 months old, they had scheduled for sinus surgery. Now, remember, this was in the late 90s, early 2000s, and so there was not a lot of information about mold and health concerns and the connection between the two. I felt like we knew something about what some of those issues might be and some of the results of mold allergens, whether it's airborne or actually growing on the surface or producing mycotoxins, which again, we'll talk about in a little bit. But the point was that there wasn't a lot of information out there. And so we did our assessment and we recommended some solutions, which was at that time called the sanitization protocol. And we cleaned up the little bit of mold that was there. It was really not very much at all, a little bit on the ceiling. We cleaned it up, put in place our sanitization protocol, which included air filtration products and air purification technologies, plus some natural all-purpose cleaners so that they wouldn't be dealing with the toxic chemistries. And an interesting thing happened. She was so excited after 3 or 4 days that it seemed to her that her children were sleeping better. And about 1.5 years later, I got an interesting telephone call from her. And she said, I want to tell you something that happened to me. I got a phone call from our pediatric physician, and she said he was not happy. And I said, oh, why was he not happy? She said, well, he wasn't happy because we haven't seen him in over 1 year, and he thought we had switched doctors. We canceled the surgery that we had planned for our youngest, and all of our kids are doing great. She said, I think we actually fixed the problem.
that was one of the first times that I really began to understand the deep connection between our clients' concerns, real concerns, and the mold issues that seem to persist in a lot of environments. And again, I think in some ways you as home inspectors are on the front line of this, because many times when you do home inspections, someone's going to ask you, hey, it looks like that's mold. What do you think it is? And of course, you've been trained to be very careful about what you say, and maybe not even take any samples or not even talk much about it at all, maybe refer it to someone else. But you've been very careful to protect yourself because of the potential liability that's there. And I certainly understand that. We understand that. But in the last year or so, we've actually created a certification through our legal department and our insurance carrier, a legitimate certificate called a certified mold screener. And I want to share with you that information and train you in this process to show you how you could be able to offer services to your client that would be incredibly helpful and help them get the information that they need. Whether they get it from you or from another professional, the point is that you are there on the front line, in some ways the first responder, and you may be able to begin the process and send them on the right path so that they can get the information that they need and not risk any kind of legal liability on your part. That's what I want to talk about. So let me share with you this new training, the Normie Certified Mold Screener.
I want to welcome my next guest, Nick South from Sotellus. And it's an interesting name. And I think the easiest way for us to find out what Sotellus really is to ask Nick. So Nick, say hello. And what is Sotellus?
Hey, hello everybody. Glad to be here. So what Sotellus is we're an online review capturing, marketing, and referral system. Basically a one-stop shop for all online needs, as far as communication with clients, chat boxes, marketing, and online reputation management.
So if we step back for a minute and let's look at you for a second, how'd you get involved with this? I mean, this is a very niche type of a thing. How'd you stumble into this or wind up there?
So actually a long time ago, I used to run an Amazon FBA business. If you've ever done anything with Amazon, you know that reviews are everything with them. So if you want people finding your products and people seeing you more often online, you need reviews. So during that time, I just saw like a very niche and very important part of how online reputation affects a business. And then I ended up running into somebody involved with Sotellus that, I ended up meeting the owners. I loved what they were doing. I love that their mission is to help empower the small businesses, to give them the same marketing material, and power that, these large franchises have who have 50K to, burn a month, right? So it really attracted me over to doing that with them.
Well, I've been doing a lot of the social media and marketing and stuff with Normie for many years, and it's kind of a education as you go, and then they change it. Once you understand it, everything changes again. The one thing that's constant though is the reviews. So, if you look at it from a distance, you see all kinds of reviews, but why are they so important? From your perspective, I mean,
right.
Private businesses, I understand, but from your perspective.
Well, I always, you can go the statistical route, roughly about 90% of people will look at a business's reviews. 70% of people are going to Google and research a business before they even call in. But then just think about yourself. Like I always ask somebody, everybody knows about Amazon. Everybody goes and buys stuff on Amazon. When was the last time you bought a product and you didn't check out the reviews? And I always use the example of if you see two products that are the exact same, but this product B is $10 cheaper than product A, but product A has 205 stars and product B has only 5. Almost everybody will choose product A and spend the extra $10 just to ensure that they're going to get a similar result or have a similar experience as those other happy people.
So to me, it sounds more like a reputation kind of a thing. based on what other people that have used your services say?
Exactly. It reviews is reputation, right? It's social proof. It's where reviews are is just results from your actual quality of service, right? It's exactly why if you have, tons of 5-star reviews, people tend to choose your service more than somebody who has a bunch of 2 stars.
I've seen a lot of sites where you see, like 300 5-star reviews. Is that like real, or is that something that, that everybody is perfect and that's the only people that do reviews?
Right. So it just depends on that business. A lot of the times if they have that amount of reviews, right, and it's a lot of 5 stars, Google's very strict on finding out and flagging people if they end up having fake reviews, right? So we'll get this happen once in a great while. Somebody calls in wanting to buy reviews from us. We have to educate them and just let them know that we don't do that. That is illegal. You can get fined by the FTC. There's a lot of problems that can ensure with that. So most of the time they should be real, just because of the fact that Google's going to find out and flag them, because they'll search every profile. They'll see how many reviews those profiles have left on other places. And if they see that they're just all recently created and left 1 5-star, then they know they're not real. So
let's say I want to show the public reviews about myself. I mean, I know I have reviews on Facebook and Google and who knows wherever else. How do I use the reviews to show the public who I am and what I do?
So there's a bunch of different ways to market these reviews out and to get them in front of people, really. To get in front of people, one thing is, take your listings, put them in your email signatures, take other reviews you have from different platforms and post them like on your social media. The best part about with us and our software is that all that stuff is done automatically and they're all aggregated. Instead of just like, if you're somebody who has, let's say 60 reviews, but they're spread across, 6 different platforms, that doesn't really look that great. Right? Because not everybody who goes to Google will also go to Yelp and then go to Facebook and then go to LinkedIn, etc. So what we do is we pull all these reviews in and we actually show all positive reviews on single places and use that to market out. So you have like one page with all the positive reviews on there. All the reviews get posted onto your Facebook page, inside your Google business, on your website, right? Basically as many places as somebody could possibly find your company, you want social proof.
Okay, but I can talk about Normie, and we are using Sotellus with a lot of our review stuff, which has really made a big difference. But how do you get all the reviews in one place? I mean, they're all over the place on different market platforms.
Right. So that's the trick. If you don't have some form of system in place, the only thing that you can really do is you're going to have to take like your Google link, your Yelp link, your Facebook link, and you're going to have to put all these different little links to those pages, like inside of like your emails and your texts, which is, it's unreasonable. Most people aren't going to go click on all those different links. Nobody wants to see 5 different links to the reviews in there. So with our platform, you'll have one single link that incorporates all positive reviews from the videos, the Sotellus, the Googles, the Facebooks, right? And pulls them all into that one page. So you can use that to show potential customers, show them your social proof, but also taking that and marking that out even more.
Well, I know that's what we had done, where we've filled out in our profile on setting up our process with you guys, all the different locations that we're aware of that were reviewed. I mean, I'm sure there's others. And I've noticed that if it like pulls a review from Facebook, it posts it on Google and vice versa, and on Yelp and all these different places. That's what you guys do?
Exactly. Yeah. So if you run into somebody who, let's say maybe didn't have a Facebook account, so they couldn't leave a Facebook review, but they had a Google, right? So they'll leave you the review on Google. Well, we're still going to take that review, right? We still post it on the other places, such as your website, SEO, public page, and all that great stuff. But we still take that review and it automatically gets posted onto your Facebook wall, right? So all the different platforms that people are finding reviews on, like Google and Facebook, we're taking the reviews from the other platforms and posting them into there as well. Like, for example, on Google, a lot of businesses don't know about this, but there's a section on the listing called Google My Business Posting. A very big amount of business owners actually don't utilize it or don't even know about it because, it's Google. They're not going to promote a free feature no matter how powerful it is, just because they're not making money off of it. So we created this sort of partnership with Google where we're the only review system that automatically posts into there. So if you do get a review on a platform, like let's say it's a client that doesn't have any platforms, they don't have Google, Facebook, Yelp, etc. It doesn't matter, right? We'll still get the review with us, and we're still going to post it into the Google Business, onto the Facebook page, and onto about 5 additional places after that as well.
So even if they don't have those review pages set up for their business, you're still going to have the reviews that are posted go out to those locations anyways.
So the business owner will still need to have an account on those locations. This is something that our coach will help them set up. But if the customer doesn't have an account with those platforms, they can't leave a review. So if they don't have a Gmail, they can't leave a Google review, but they'll still be able to leave a review with Sotellus without having to create an account or anything, which we could still take and then post inside the Google Business.
Okay, I remember from the trade show that we were at where we talked with you guys a lot, you had a specific app that would handle all that stuff right on the spot. Matter of fact, that was one of the things I liked most about your stuff, where not only can you do, typing, I like your stuff, it could be an audio or video review also.
Yeah, that's a big thing with us. A very big hit is that we are the only verified video review system on the planet right now that's actually acknowledged by Google. So because of that, there's a bunch of big things that come along with being the only video review system. Is that one, they're undoubtedly the most powerful, right? 80% of today's traffic online is video. Okay, so it's like everybody has seen a 5-star Google review that doesn't even have a review. It's just a rating, or they just said highly recommend. Right. But when you see a video of an actual customer that's been verified by another company showing and proving that it's real, and that customer is just raving about how much they loved your service, they loved your product, the great business owner that you are, right? That becomes a lot more powerful and enticing for potential clients. And then on top of that, the great thing is that they're also the fastest ranking reviews because they're the only ones that are able to be played and watched more than one time. But you're able to capture those on person with a patented mobile app that we have. So you just pull up your app, click a button, put the customer's name and number in, and get the review right then and there. And that way, that's why we have such a high capture rate, is because we figured out that just sending out invites is great, text and emails, of course, following up with them. It creates a higher conversion rate, if you follow up. But when you ask somebody in person, like right after the service is done, right at the height of their either excitement, their emotions, their gratitude, right, that is the best time to get a review, is right then and there on the spot. Because even the customers that want to leave reviews, not all the time, they don't always leave them just because something comes up, right? As soon as that service was done, they might have had to run out the house 2 minutes later to go grab the kids from school. I work for a review company, and that's happened to me before. So that's why the mobile app is such a useful tool, because you can capture a review on the spot in under 30 seconds.
Complicated to do. I've done those, but I haven't been out in the field recently doing that. And, is it a changed process, or is it just really click one button?
This is just click one button. You pull up the app. There's 3 types of reviews and 4 total buttons. It's that simple, right? It's video, audio, text review, or send an invite. If you're getting on the spot, you're choosing between the 3. Click whatever review you want. Just put the client's name or initials, and then you could do number or email. And then you just get the review right then and there.
About as simple as it gets.
Yeah, it could not be any easier to capture review in person.
One of the things that I noticed, and I had done this several times when I was out at trade shows and stuff, I've gotten video reviews, audio reviews from what I would call influencers. And, the regular reviews powerful, but when you get somebody that's an influencer in that industry and they're giving you a video review on the spot, you can buy testimonials like that if you would want to. I mean, it's great.
I totally agree with that. We actually have I have a presentation that I like to show people just how I explain the system. And in there, we have a lady named Heidi Powell. There's probably going to be somebody who watches this who knows who that is. She's very big in like the fitness space. We got a video review of her because one of our clients actually did a DJ thing for her wedding or something around those lines. But because of that, we got an awesome review of somebody who has I think over 500,000 following or more. Right. So, and then being able to also get that person to also share that on like their social media, which is what our system also does. I mean, you can't even buy that type of publicity.
I know when we first introduced you guys to the Normie base, there was a lot of excitement about it, which there still is. But Doug Hoffman, our CEO, actually did a lot of personal video reviews for some of our members, especially our charter members and people that have really been around for a long time. And again, I consider him an influencer with the industry. That was a very powerful thing for a lot of these people.
Yeah, 100%. Again, like having a figure in that industry giving you the review. We have a coach who does something similar. Her name's Krista Mayshore. Another online, she's pretty well known and influencer as well. But in the real estate industry, she's one of the largest well-known coaches. And all the people who go through her coaching program, a lot of the time they'll send, her the invite to get their first video review. Right. So when, obviously getting somebody of that magnitude in that industry, right, it makes a huge deal, especially when people are going and checking out your service and trying to look at your social proof and if you're an established company.
And those video reviews will also show up on all the different platforms that you're tied into for reviews?
100%. Yeah. It goes to the public page with all the other reviews, the website, Facebook, Google Business. Also, they get to share it on their Facebook as well in front of their friends and family, all with a call to action from the business as well. So it goes on about at least 6 to 7 different places minimum.
That call to action you just mentioned, is that or considered the referral side of what this does, or is that different?
Yeah, so there's a few things in there. We have a special offer and lead magnet program that's attached with a referral program. So every customer that gives our clients a review, that customer is going to be asked to share the review. They could share it with people directly, and they can also share it on Facebook by just clicking a button, right? When they share it on Facebook, we know the average person's got about 500 friends, right? So instead of just a one-to-one referral, we figured let's try to get one to many. Okay, instead of just trying to capture one new customer per person, let's try to capture 10. So they get to share it on Facebook with an offer from the business. Now, if it's like a cleaning company or something, you can offer a discount off the service. But then we work with people who could be in real estate who will give out a free market analysis. So it's really just a call to action. It doesn't necessarily need to be an offer. It could be scheduling a consultation, things like that. But it's just a very easy way for a customer to refer as many people as they know instead of just referring one person that they know. Because most people can't think of somebody off the top of their head anyways.
Any secrets on how to get more referrals?
Yeah, so this is something that our team will do in the training and the setup process, but I always tell the people that I work with, you should run some form of incentive program, and almost everybody can do this. There's a few industries where we do have exceptions that we have workarounds to, but a big thing is just an incentive program. Tell a customer hey, if you share this offer on Facebook and anybody who claims this offer from you, I'm going to give you a discount off your next service with me. So it could be a share one, get one. If you share this 10% and they claim it, you get 10%. But maybe if it's a one-time service, right? Maybe something you don't need consistently or on a subscription, then you can just offer out some kind of, almost rebate. Hey, if you share this and somebody claims it, I'll give you a $20 gift card to Starbucks. Right? That's a big one. People just giving out gift cards if they refer people into them.
So to me, that sounds like a lead generating program. I mean, is there a way to capture the leads automatically, or do you have to manually go and look for them, or how's that work?
So with the referral program, when it's on the customer's Facebook page, if one of their friends are interested, all they do is click a post, right? It's going to show off their friend's review with the offer there. Their friend's interested, they click it. It's going to pull their friend's review up, and then right there is going to be an offer form. As soon as they fill that out, the customer is immediately notified. It goes on their back end. It can automatically be sent into their CRM as well. And then the customer will receive an email too with the information on how to claim that offer. And then on top of that, with the special offer program, that one's a little bit different. We don't have to rely on just the referral process. So we take the special offer that the customer wants to give out. So maybe it's 10% off the service. Well, every single place that we market and post the reviews out, there's going to be that call to action there as well. So whether they go on the website, on the Google Business, on the Facebook, on their public page, if they go Google them in the Google search engine, they're going to see that business's 5-star reviews, and every single review will have that call to action there. So the whole purpose is just making sure that any possible place that a potential client could find the business, we want their reviews and the call to action there.
Okay, so listening to this, and as one of our members listening to this, sounds a bit complicated, though it's automated too. So how do you simplify it? What we would have to do?
So exactly how you said, it's all automated. The customers here don't have to do anything. The whole point, like automation is the new delegation, right? So the whole point is to make this whole thing run itself and make sure that's automated for the client. Because if we just threw our clients a system and said, have fun, go figure it out, you're going to have to, you can get the reviews and then you're going to have to go post them all separately. Like we'd be out of business. So our whole system is automated. The only thing the clients do on their end is just capture the reviews, and that can even be automated as well. They can upload lists of their customers and then we'll reach out for them, or we can integrate and use their CRM to automate their invites too. The customer doesn't even have to set this account up. Every person here will get a designated coach. So they actually get a coach who sets their whole system up for them, gives them unlimited support, unlimited training, and just consistently follows up with them to make sure they're happy with the service. Because with our company, we're one of the only SaaS businesses literally in the industry who doesn't have a contract. So we have account managers and coaches in place to make sure that these people are becoming successful, because if they're not happy, then they don't have a job.
So you've mentioned coaches, advisors, services you provide. Is this like all add-on fees and costs? Because that sounds expensive.
Yeah, most people, and if you go to most other businesses or most other SaaS companies, it can get very expensive. With us, it's definitely not. That's the best thing, is we're the most affordable in our industry because we're the only self-funded. Every one of our competitors, that is public knowledge, and there's sites to look this up, but they've all taken investments. We've built this thing from the ground up ourselves. So we've never had to raise our prices in 7 years. During the pandemic, during this, time of inflation, let's say, right? We've never had to raise our price one single time, but we continue to add value, continue to add new products and services on top of these plans that, can be as little as $59, go to $199 a month. But obviously, anybody who's seeing this today, as you know, if there's anybody who's interested in this form of program or checking this out, it's very easy. You could schedule a demo with me. I'm sure, Lance, you'll share the link to that. And you get a promotional price because of Normie. So that's something we do, is we take care of anybody who is a Normie client here.
Well, yeah, and that's something that we've appreciated, and we've had quite a few of our members actually take advantage of that. I don't want to talk specifics on the program that we're offering right now, but I'm sure that anybody that's interested, from our membership can reach out to us to our support@normie.org, and we'll reach out to them and get them all the information they need to sign up for this program. But to me, the exciting part is that this type of a service is out there. And from what you've described and what I've seen from us using it, it's easy to use. You guys do most of the setup and it just runs from there. We have hundreds and hundreds of reviews. I know we have a lot of members with hundreds of reviews, same kind of thing.
100%. That's what we want. We just want to make sure that we can take off. If you're paying for a service, you don't want to add extra time to that, to your client's plate. You don't need to take extra money from them and then make them have to do the work. So yeah, the whole thing here is taking care of the client, to the basically 99% of the work is done by us, from the setup to the implementation to the actual value of the product, and consistently making sure that it's getting reviews, getting you found, getting new customers, and it's all done for you.
So is there anything new coming to the system that you can't tell us about yet that you're going to tell us about?
So one thing we did just recently launch is like a chat box, and it's auto responsive. That's one of our newest features that I really do enjoy, just because we work with a lot of small business owners. Of course, some of them are owner operator. Some of them have teams from, 5 to 20 people. Well, our chat box gives people a chance to talk to a client that's on the website without having to be there to monitor the website, right? We send them out a text or an email letting them know somebody's there. But if they're not available, or if, it's outside of their business hours, then it just gets their information for them and sends that over to them. One thing too is one thing I will mention, probably should have, is our new dashboard we are launching. It's going to have just more analytics, even easier to navigate. And it's going to integrate with the app too. So those two things are going to be launching to be revamped, redone, and just give the customer a lot more access and make it just easier for them.
Okay, well, that is new stuff. So if our members wanted to reach out to you for more information, how would they contact you?
The easiest way I would say would be to go to Sotellus.com and go to /Nick. So you just put Sotellus.com /Nick, Nick. It'll take you right to my calendar. You're just going to pick a time that works out best. I'm going to jump on a one-on-one meeting with you. I'll answer any questions that you have. I can break down the whole product and just show you how it all works.
But to get the best price, they're going to have to let you know they're an active Normie member.
100%. You need to let us know that you're Normie, because you get a massive discount here when you come from Normie. So if you don't mention it, I'm just letting you know that if it's me, or if you end up talking to one of my other sales guys on my team, you're going to end up paying about double the amount if you don't mention Normie.
Well, we appreciate that. Nick, I appreciate you spending time with us. Anything else in closing you think our members should know about?
I think we're all good. Just, again, make sure to manage that reputation. Keep getting reviews, guys. Don't set a limit on that. A lot of people think once you get a certain amount of reviews, it's great. Just a statistic to remember, 85% of people will disregard reviews older than 3 months old. So if you don't have a system in place and an automated process to consistently get new reviews and build your reputation, eventually you fall by the wayside, right? Or your competitors start to outrank you and outshine you. So I just say, make sure, even if you're not using a system like us, you need to find a way to consistently get new reviews.
Wait. So you just said something there about reviews older than 3 months kind of like fall away. I mean, I know I've gone on sites and you see people with reviews from 2006, 2010. I mean, they have some value, at least they show you've been in business, but
Right.
What's the dynamic change for current reviews?
So I don't mean the reviews fall by the wayside. What I was saying is that your listing does, though. Your listing stops ranking. Your listing will lose its ranking. It will continue to stay stagnant if you don't consistently capture reviews. So the reason behind this, just it's a very easy statistic to go Google. I actually have one that I can share with you that you can feel free to post, but it just shows that 85% of consumers, right, that's when they check out reviews, if they're older than 90 days old, they tend to disregard them, because the whole purpose is this. Maybe you had 200 reviews in the first 5 years of being open or something, right? Or you have 500 total reviews right now, but you haven't gotten a new review in the past 90 days. Well, what happens is people question that. What has now changed in that business in these last 3 months? What is there a difference in quality? Did they sell it? Is there a new management? People start to question, why are they not getting the same positive feedback over the last 90 days that they were getting prior? And I think that's and I don't disagree with them. I think that's a very valuable question for them to ask, is because if you were getting so much positive feedback before, why aren't you now?
Well, that makes sense. And that clarifies my question, because I could see value in old reviews being on the site, showing a history,
Right.
But it makes a lot of sense if you're not getting anything current. All right. I appreciate you spending the time with us. I want to thank you. I'd encourage everybody watching this to either reach out to us at support@normie.org or to contact Nick directly at Sotellus.com/Nick.
Yeah, /Nick. Make sure to put the /.
/. All right. Thank you very much, Nick.
No problem, Lance. Thank you.
Well, tonight we have a special guest with us, Robert Pettyjohn. Now I met Robert, I don't know, several months back. I believe it was in Treasure Island at a class that we had going, and very, very interesting gentleman. And you'll see as we start talking tonight, just the experience that he brings with him to the table here. But I can't do him justice. I was actually reading through some of his I guess designations and certifications, and there's so many of them. I gave up trying to figure out what some of them even were. So I'm going to let him tell you a little bit about himself. But Robert, I just want to bring you into the room and say, just kind of let everybody know who you are and a little bit about your background, and we'll go from there.
First of all, it's a real honor to be sitting with you on this phone call tonight. You have impressed me from the very first time we met. And of course, the whole Normie organization is so impressive, and I'm very thankful to be here. And it's another step in this whole progress that you and I go through in our life, how we meet people and they influence us one way or the other. And I'm very, very thankful that my friend Scott Mitziff, with whom I serve on the board at the IICRC, introduced me to you guys and told me about Mr. Hoffman and about Mr. Adams and the tremendous relationships that y'all have got going on down there. And I'm glad I opened the computer and looked at and talked with y'all. This fits very nicely in my personal and professional development. And I'm very thankful for that. Yes, sir.
Well, thank you. So who are you? What's your company? What do you do in this industry?
Well, the way I can best answer that by how I started out. And I came up here to Wake Forest, North Carolina, in order to get a PhD in world religions. And everything was going just fine, except for the fact I was stone cold broke. And we had to get something to do. So I said, Lord, what are we going to do? And he led me to a fellow named Chubb Seyfried in Concord, North Carolina. And Chubb says, Robert, if you want to do this business, and by the way, I had, in order to make ends meet, I had entered an ad in a newspaper that said clean carpets make $800 to $1,000 a week. But it was one of these bait and switch organizations where they send the flyers out in the mail. We'll clean your carpet 6 rooms for $31.95. But when you get to the job, you have to add on and add on and add on, because there's no way you can do it for that away. But I saw that there was people that had a lot of carpet and a lot of it needed to be cleaned. So I asked my friend Chubb Seyfried, who is also in the Mid-South Professional Cleaners Association, a regional trade association. And Chubb said, Robert, if you're going to do this business, you got to do this and this and this and this and this. And thankfully I did that and that and that and that and that. And an amazing thing happened to me just this week, and that is that a gentleman from New Jersey asked me to be a part of a Zoom call for the National Organization for Remediators and Mold Inspectors. And I could not believe that this happened. So what an honor to be here and to see how things have progressed from one stage to the other. And now I'm in a Zoom call with you. Who would ever have believed this 31 years ago? I'm so honored to be here.
You are most welcome, and thank you for that. We appreciate you being here and talking with us, and just bring the wealth of knowledge that you have, for our members to hear the things that you've done. I know you talked about the carpet cleaning industry, and I know you specialize, I believe, in like Oriental rugs and stuff like that. But I think there's also something out there about you with the infection control also. So it's like, this is a big gambit that you cover of, things for the cleaning industry and restoration side.
Well, you know everything about me, don't you? What?
Well, there you go. Okay, thanks a lot. No.
Oh, you're too cool, buddy. I like you. You ask very good questions. Yes, sir. Thankfully, my mom and daddy instilled me with a huge curiosity. My professor at graduate school said, learning is disciplined curiosity. And that means that once the spark goes off, you still got to get up and grab the encyclopedia or whatever, wherever you get your information from, and then learn it and digest it. And I've been very, very fortunate that I've been placed in front of the right people at the right time. My very first IICRC class was with Lee Pemberton, the great Lee Pemberton from McKeesport, Pennsylvania. And to have started off that way is incredible. And that has led one step to the next, to where now I have been asked to serve on the board of directors of the IICRC for the last 4 years. I'm a secretary of the executive committee, and what an honor that is. But along the way, as you know, other stuff happens. And we usually start in carpet cleaning, and that curiosity leads to upholstery cleaning, and of course, water damage restoration. And of course, people now say, can you wash this rug? Oh, yes. And I'm sitting in a home office out here in Wake Forest, and I can look out in the backyard where we used to wash Oriental rugs in my daughter's swimming pool, a little bitty plastic swimming pool. So even back then, it was a big deal. And we used to hang the rugs on the side of the fence out there. And one day it came up a cloud, and we had 21 rugs we had to dry in our house. So little bitty things like that add up. And now we're one of the most recognized, and I think the finest, most ethical, environmentally responsible, and ergonomic rug cleaning plant anywhere in the nation per cubic foot, without question. Yes, sir. So I'm very thankful.
Well, that is impressive. I mean, yes, this industry, unfortunately, especially in unregulated states on the mold side, you know, there's a lot of problems with people being out there. Like you started off saying, you know, a bait and switch type of an ad that you took, and I'm sure that runs rampant through a lot of the cleaning industry also, like it does in the mold industry. And, you know, to hear you talk about the way that you try to keep this industry on the up and the way that your company operates, that's what we're looking to do. We really want people like you involved in this industry and pushing it forward, keeping it, I'll use the word clean, you know?
Yeah, I had no idea that we were going to bring this up, but I was just on the phone call with my friend Penny Trailau from out in Australia. Just a little while ago, we were on a little Zoom call because we both serve on the IICRC S400 and the S410 cleaning and infection control committees. We're helping to write that standard. And she says that there are people all around there who want to fog something into your house and then walk out as though they've done something very special. But no, that's not the guys at Normie. And that's one of the things that attracted me to you guys, is that this is not the National Organization for Shortcut Schmaltzes. This is for remediation, dadgummit, and inspecting the way it ought to be done, for mold particularly, because there's a lot of people out there getting sick because it's not been done right.
So if I said that you have a passion for this industry, I think it's kind of an understatement to hear you talking now.
Okay. Let me tell you something. And one of the reasons that this has evolved over the years, of course, my mom and daddy taught me to do something the right way. That's a big deal. But here of late, within the last 2 or 3 years, we've been involved with some of these military families in helping to remediate the homes that they're in, not on base, of course, because it's hard to get on base and really do remediation the right way. A lot of these people who run the housing on these bases really aren't interested in doing it the right way right now. That's going to be changing. It is changing very, very quickly. But being into their homes where they've had to move off base and helping them clean and decontaminate their stuff that was involved in this mess in these houses. And thankfully, one day I was up in Kalamazoo, Michigan, meeting and speaking with my dear friend, Dr. Michael Pinto. And he put me on the phone with a lady named Shelley, who was involved in this military mess about 10 or 12 years ago, the very first lady to prove in a federal court causation between mold and brain injury. She is the one who proved on a Dolbear standard that this thing really happens. And she turned me on to another lady who was going through some problems there at Camp Lejeune. Her name was Lindsay. And I went down to see Lindsay and immediately saw the horrific circumstances her kids and her family had been placed in because of this mold business, and really became a passion of mine, because goodness, these are folks who are defending our country. And her husband even told me he felt better in old nasty Iraq than he did in his own house. That's a deadgum shame. And we're working to correct that mess. You ask very insightful questions, by the way, and I appreciate that, Lance. You're amazing, son.
I see it's kind of getting your dander up there a little bit, but it's questions that have to be asked. And we've done a lot of work on military bases also. We've done training on military bases. And we have our environmental task force, which is a nonprofit. We've actually donated equipment to people that live in really bad housing situations on those bases. So we've been involved with this for a while. So I understand what you're saying, but you said something very interesting there, and it's a little off track from where we were going, but you mentioned about causation of brain injuries. I was doing some research between last week and actually this weekend, and found there's some legislation and rules out there from the ADA, American Disabilities Act, that actually covers breathing and environmental conditions causing substantial breathing issues, which would qualify as a disability under the ADA. So, and again, I'm not an attorney and I'm just reading it for face value, but it's interesting that, all of these things are starting to come together as people are looking for multiple disciplines, if you want to call it. And everybody's starting to find the same thing, that, there's a lot of correlation between molds and bacteria and illnesses and in the environment that people used to ignore.
Lance, you're right on, man. And thank you for your interest. My professor said that learning is discipline, curiosity, and you have that within you too. You go find the dadgum answer, and that's very impressive. But I've cried with these girls, man, at their home and watched their children undergoing these night terrors. When a lady gets mold going on in her brain, it causes some swelling in her brain, and that affects the pituitary gland, that affects things that ladies go through on a regular basis. And for many ladies, it's caused them to where they can't have children. And that is a dadgum shame that that's going on. But
yeah,
thanks to organizations like Normie and the IICRC and the S520 and the standards that we produce, things are, there is good news ahead if people are willing to accept it.
Absolutely. Well, in an effort to keep your blood pressure down a little bit, I'm going to change gears here a little, and let's go into another topic a little bit. Give you a little bit of a break there.
Oh, you're too cool, buddy.
I know you said you were introduced to Normie like through Scott out in, I guess he's out in Washington.
He's in Yakima, Washington.
Yeah,
yes.
I know Scott. I've talked with him many times. A really nice guy. But as far as our courses, because I know you've really started to look in and you've taken a lot of training from all over the place. What do you think is one of the most important things that we do as far as teaching a course? What kind of courses, do you find of interest, especially with your background?
Well, the most important thing, the most amazing thing about Normie is not your courses and all that stuff. It's the people that are there. I mean, goodness gracious, of course, you, Lance, and Mr. Hoffman and Mr. Adams and Mr. Zawalaga, these people are really huge. Justin and David and Roger and the ladies that answers the phone call out there in
Arkansas.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Those people are the people that are surrounding, that are with you guys at Normie, are what's really, really impressive. Then you start to take a course and you say, well, dang, it's no wonder that you guys are so impressive, your coursework, because I'm sorry,
that's okay.
That's a phone call from somebody at Normie, as a matter of fact. I'm so sorry. Good.
That's announcing our training for tonight.
You can tell I'm old fashioned with that ringtone, can't you? Okay, good. All right. But you mentioned the courses, and to me, the most important course you guys teach down there, I'm sorry, but this is my opinion, is this mold remediation for sensitized individuals. Why is that? Because if you can do it for the sensitized people, you can do it for anybody. So if you can gear your program up in such a way that you're cleaning now for the most sensitized individual out there, then you're going to pass every clearance test. You're going to pass every important evaluation that goes on in somebody else's home. Plus, you don't know whether somebody is carrying that dreaded HLA gene in their body. We don't even know that. So if we take a chance and we miss something that we should have gotten, well, shame on us. That means you've not done it properly and you've not done it according to normie standards and regulations. And that's what's impressive about you guys. So to have somebody like Dr. Pinto, Michael Pinto come down and lead that course is just unbelievable. That's pivotal course in my opinion. It is a good
course. It's a very good course. I've
Yes.
seen him teach it, and
I know it's not cheap. I know that. This is one of the most expensive courses y'all have got. But if you can do this, you can do anything.
well, you got the two rock stars teaching it. You got Michael and Doug both teaching that course.
Unbelievable. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Wow.
So,
What a thrill.
well, let's talk about certifications. Like I started when I was introducing you at the beginning about the different things that you have, and education wise, there's a ton of stuff that you do and that you're trained in. And I don't know if you want to ramble off a few of those, just kind of some of your background enhancements. I know you said you were first starting for a PhD in religious studies, but you've like morphed into a whole nother direction.
Well, when you as you would that men should do to you, do you even so unto them, for this is the law and the prophets. That was written in another standard that we are familiar with. Jesus said that in their Sermon on the Mount. But when you look 2,000 or 3,000 years earlier than that, what Moses was involved with in Leviticus chapter 14 about the mold remediation, it's been in there since almost the beginning of time and recorded religious history anyway. So this is a huge deal. And thankfully, I've got a proper background for this mold business in our cleaning. Of course, we're certified triple master cleaner at the ISRC, but that's a big deal. I'm also a certified rug specialist. We're the only certified rug specialist in the state of North Carolina. We wash the governor's rugs and all that stuff. No, they're not his rugs, dadgummit. They're the citizens. They belong to the citizens of North Carolina. So I'm taking care of your rugs out there. Don't worry about that. We're also certified water law specialists, one of about 125, 150 in the country of that. If you're gonna do a flood on water, you better know what you're doing. So getting involved with the Restoration Industry Association, Pete Consigli and these guys who taught this class the way it ought to be done. I mean, that was tantamount to a college level thesis we had to present to get our certified water law specialist. That was just really very, very huge. And the same way it is to become a certified master rug cleaner and certified rug specialist, CRS. That was a huge, huge thing to do. And now to be involved with Normie is just another. It is said, birds of a feather flock together, and it's nice to be involved in a group like Normie that takes things to the highest level possible, and I'm very, very thankful for that. Yes, sir.
I like to I bring it down to a very, very simple level when I talk with people and we start talking about how things work and everything like that. And to me, the basic philosophy is, and I've said this before on many trainings that I've been to, we try to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. It's that simple. You don't have to go any further than that. I mean, you can't set a higher bar. And, it's something that's practical and understandable to almost everybody out there.
And thankfully, the courses that you and I have been through weed out the folks who are not living by that standard.
Yeah.
And any schmaltz, any bedwetter can go out and take a course. We know that. But they're not going to stick with it to the end, to where the results that they're looking for is a cleaner rug, a healthier environment, a more responsible way to treat. We're not just fogging something in somebody's dadgum house. No, we're really getting it clean the way it ought to be clean, and documenting it and proving it with our field tests and third-party confirmation of verification of what we're doing. Yes, sir.
Well, there you go. Back to the do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, and the results speak for themselves. They really do. I'm going to put you on the spot now. Sorry
Fire
about
away.
that. All right. And I know you've kind of alluded to it, but if you were going to sum up what really you like about Normie, and if you were going to tell somebody about us, where do you think you would go with that?
Well, as I mentioned a while ago, the people are number one. You've got to trust somebody. You don't trust a book, unless it's a Bible or something. But you don't. And even the Bible says that its purpose is to reflect what Jesus did on earth. So the same way it is with Normie. You guys, man, are from the ladies that answered the phone call all the way to Mr. Hoffman. That's what's so impressive. Not only that, but you base your course material on standards that have already been in place. And it's no secret that whenever you teach a course, you show up there on your screen the IICRC S520, Standard for Professional Motor Mediation, for example. You don't try to appear to people that it's y'all's idea. You're the first one to come up with it. No. You know that you're a part, as the poet said, I'm a part of all that I have met, yet all experiences and arts where through gleams that untraveled world whose margin or whose horizon fades forever and forever as I move. I'll think of who did that in just a second. It's a 17th century poet. But you realize that you're a part of a long chain. You're handling, the baton has already been passed and is handing off to other people like you and me. And we cannot drop it because so many people's lives, so many people's well-being, and even our companies depend on it. And for crying out, our reputation. And the thing that has been my greatest asset in life is been that I know how to pick my in-laws properly. A lot of people get stuck with bad mothers and fathers-in-law, but my daddy and my father-in-law was the finest real estate agent in Northwest South Carolina. And my mother-in-law ran a credit bureau up there in Easley, South Carolina. And Dad never, ever said, is this the best you can do, Robert? You've got a master's degree. Is this the best you can do? No. He would come in and he would say, whatever you're doing, let's just be the best at it. And from my mother and father-in-law, it's been that way. And to be a part of an organization like that is like Normie, that is consistent with my values is really, really huge to me, because I don't have to wonder about some schmuck trying to tell me something that's not right, or some bedwetter lead me into down some road that's not going to lead to anything. No, that's why I like Normie.
Okay. Again, we have to work on your blood pressure. You're getting all passionate about this, which is great. I really,
as Cheech and Chong says, this is a big dope deal. And my neighbor across the street was their lawyer, so he was busy for a long time. So
there you have it.
And, yes, sir. But these are big deals, and we've got for crying out loud, people's lives and their future children depend on what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, I
was just at a lady's house, a dear friend of mine outside of St. Louis the other day. We have an Instascope machine, and of course, we've been trained by you guys how to assess a building indoor air quality, and being able to go in there and know that when we leave and after we prescribe what needs to happen, that they're going to be living in a nice, clean, healthy home, and that is really important to me.
Yes, it is.
What?
It's just-
You see, I gave a talk to a bunch of real estate agents the other day. About 200 were on a call. My dear friend up here, Brian Pate, allowed me to address. He teaches all the real estate people in North Carolina, and I got on there and I told him that a clean air, a clean and healthy environment is the new view. They used to be able to stick you out when you're buying a house. They take you to the window and look out there. Just imagine your kids playing. Just imagine the garden growing and all that. No. The important thing now is just imagine you living in your sanctuary where you can go home and take the mean old nasty dirty things that you've come in contact with in your life during the course of that day and come to your sanctuary and heal and get better. My friend Jeff Jones in Oklahoma City says that when we get stronger, not while we're lifting weights, but while we're asleep at night and our body's rebuilding itself. Well, that's why, as you guys say in your class, that we breathe 3,000 gallons of air every day. I mean,
20,000 breaths is the average.
God, exactly right. So we're focused a lot on urine. So how many times do you urinate during the day? 9 or 10, maybe? And so how much water do you drink? I don't know. But you breathe in and out 20 to 23,000 times a day. Far, far, far more important. Yes, sir. So
Doug has an expression he uses for that. He says, you either have a good filter or you are one.
That's
And
pretty good.
it makes sense. You know, Robert, I've really been enjoying this, and I'm sure that our members are too. I would love to have you back as a follow-up. Maybe get a little bit more into the infection control side and everything in another interview. If that would be okay with you.
Oh my goodness, yes, I got a lot of cool things to say about that. The coolest is the primacy of cleaning. We go in there with spraying this stuff and want to decontaminate everything in the world. But no, if you clean it properly first, you are way ahead of the game. And isn't that what our mamas and daddies taught us to do a long, long time ago?
Yeah.
And isn't it what, I'm going to show you this thing here. Isn't it what Doug tells in this book right here?
Yeah.
You keep it clean and dry. This is one of the most pivotal books, I think. I know it's kind of fuzzy. I don't know.
That's okay.
It's just mold-free construction 2.0 to the title of it. Everybody in the nation ought to own that copy, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
And they ought to be connected to you somehow, by George, to get your New Jersey influence. Because if you do what a guy from New Jersey says, you're okay.
I had a call from somebody in New Jersey today too, speaking to me. So it was kind of interesting. He thought I was from down south originally. I said, really? With my lack of accent? Yeah. Okay. So,
but listen, Lance, y'all got the best tomatoes and the best corn on the cob anywhere in the country up yonder in New Jersey.
Yes, we do.
Man,
hey, it's the Garden State. That's what they call it.
That's true. It's not all Patterson and Passaic.
No, of course, it was also 9 degrees out yesterday morning, but we'll go beyond that. But hey, Robert, I really appreciate you spending the time here with us. And I definitely want to get you back so we can talk more about the infectious disease control side. And
there's so much more to talk about. Yes, sir. And what an honor to spend some time with you. You ask good questions, by the way. You're like a doctor or something. I thought I was going through a physical or something. You're really good.
Well, wait till next time.
Oops. Okay.
Robert Pettyjohn, thank you very much for being here with us.
Okay, dear friend, it's an honor. Thank you, my friend.
It's my privilege to be able to introduce Michael Pinto, who's the CEO of Wonder Makers. He's a very valued partner with us at Normie, and actually he's fun to work with. So I'm going to bring Michael in. And I also have Doug Hoffman here, who is also a good friend of Michael's, and this is going to make for a very interesting conversation tonight. That's the easiest way to do it. So Michael, you want to come in and say a quick hello to everybody?
Well, thank you, Lance. I appreciate it very much. And yes, I was smiling because too much fun. When we deal with Normie, I know we get a lot of work done and everything, but it's just good people to work with, and certainly count you in that, as well as Doug. And just very pleased to be here talking about the NCMP.
Thank you, Michael. Doug, I don't know, you consider him a team player with us?
Actually, more than that. Michael not only is one of our senior trainers, but he also participates on our President's Council. I have a tremendous amount of respect for him and for his experience. And I think he brings something to us that we wouldn't have otherwise. So I'm grateful that he's become a good partner and a very good friend. So I'm glad to be here tonight, and I think this is going to be fun.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys. You know, one of the things that I've seen Michael bring to the group is we've elevated the level of training that's available to our members. We have the basic training and the stuff that's very popular, but we now have these more advanced courses that really gets to or above the professional level, if you want to consider it that way. Now, knowing Normie and all of our initials that we use for our classes, I do want to talk to Michael about the NCMP, which is the Normie Certified Microbial Professional. So, Michael, I'm going to ask you, what is that? What is that all about?
Well, quite honestly, this is a continuation of a certification that was originally offered by the Restoration Industry Association. And early on in the mold remediation industry and the arena, and I'm going all the way back to like 1999, 2000, 2001, thereabouts. It was our assessment at Wonder Makers that there had to be more for some people in the industry than just a technician level and a supervisor level, and not that those are bad places to go for training or anything like that. But we just felt that if the industry was really going to not just survive but prosper, there had to be a cadre of individuals that people could look at and say, you know what, those people are really professionals in their industry. Very similar to, you know, a master carpenter or, you know, an engineer or somebody who's got some real experience. And that's what we tried to do at Wonder Makers when we developed the certified, originally it was certified mold professional, but now with Normie, it's the certified microbial professional course. And that's a good move too, because it broadens up what the students learn about, and it really helps to give us that bigger picture in terms of the students coming through the class. So the basic answer to the question is that the NCMP is, as you said, the Normie Certified Microbial Professional. And what we're trying to do is elevate the knowledge of the individuals who come through that class so that they're more well-rounded and they're able to be the sort of person that if I have a question that just is really a tough one in the industry, that's the sort of people that you go to, the NCMPs.
You know, I've heard it described as upper level type of training. Would that be a fair evaluation to classify this as?
Absolutely. And the reason that we would consider it to be upper level is that there's actually some prerequisites. And I know that that can be dangerous, if you will, because it potentially limits the pool of people that can come for that training. But to even, you know, qualify for the training, a person has to go through either the Normie Certified Mold Remediator course or an equivalent